All right, guys. As we know, this is a post-loss show for the my Block Party podcast. Thanks for joining. You can find me at Mike Wahle 68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. Check out our Process to Perform channel on YouTube if you want to check out all the videos and everything we do there. Film analysis, all the breakdowns. Show's always sponsored by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL to UFC, BetOnline's got it all. So head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Let's talk about this game. It was a great – listen, the Packers and the Lions both had back-to-back Thursday night football games. These are both playoff teams. They should both be playoff teams. The Eagles or the Lions are going to have home field advantage throughout this whole thing. This is a 34-31 game, extremely close. There's a lot of plays, particularly at the end, that people are going to want to talk about. I just think this is a great playoff preview. These are really good football teams, and just a fun game to watch. I don't really want to waste a second of time talking about all the ref calls. I saw that on social media, and listen. Especially if you're a Green Bay Packers fan. If you're a Green Bay Packers fan over the last 25 years and you're bitching about ref calls, it's tough, man. They've been very friendly. So sometimes these things don't work out. But here's the real part of the game that you need to kind of focus on, in my opinion. Goff goes 32 for 41, 283, 3 touchdowns, has the pick, has the kind of blemish versus to Nixon there. Nixon makes a good play. But really, the Detroit Lions did something that you're not supposed to be able to do in the National Football League. They nickel and dime the Green Bay Packers absolutely to death. They only average 3.3 yards on the ground, but they still get 34 points on the Packers defense, which has been playing very well. They only have, I think, 1 reception over 20 yards on the night. So basically what you're saying is most teams go in, and this is really kind of maybe more when we're talking about specifically with Green Bay over the years prior to Jeff Hafley coming here, but that Vic Fangio idea of we don't think this with our defense you can go 80 yards. We just don't think you can make enough plays. You're not going to have any mistakes. You can go 8 yards at a time, 6 yards at a time. And Ben Johnson and that offense and Jared Goff running it, they kept manageable third downs the entire game. And they just showed, if you want us to go 80, we can go 80. If you want us to go 65, we can go 65. The Packers' defensive line outplayed the Lions' offensive line, vaunted offensive line, particularly in the interior. And Penei Sewell got beat a handful of times, way more than that's not nearly as effective as I saw him last year. Those guys did a great job in the run game. But dear Lord, can we get a pass rusher for Christmas? Because the difference in the game on defense really boils down to 2 things. One, it's almost impossible to get pressure on Jared Goff without running some sort of pressure with the linebackers. And I'll show the Quay Walker ones. They did a great job again. Switched it up a little bit and started picking the tackle instead of the guard. You have to be able to win one-on-one matchups on the defensive line and to create pressure. Otherwise, it's too easy for a good offense with this many explosive skill position players to move the football. And the second part is you have to be able to condense, and this is what happens when you have speed. If Jameson Williams likes speed on the other side, you have to be able to condense the windows. And if you watch this game, we talked about this with Xavier McKinney when he was in with the Giants. A lot of the even lining up pre-snap is 15 yards deep. And you see the spread. Like there's a play when they're running cover 2, and usually that window throw to the sideline is open. But when you're 15, 20 yards away from the corner, from a depth standpoint, it's just too much space. And you have to respect, obviously, the speed of the Detroit defense. But that, with the lack of pass rush, it just creates an opportunity for a good quarterback with a great skills with a great set of skill position players to just pick up these yards when you need them. I mean, I just don't remember too many plays where Detroit wasn't in third and manageable, right? And that's how you score 34 points. You know, Isaiah McDuffie had 15 tackles, by the way. That's a like ridiculous number of tackles. The fourth down play at the end. Listen, the Lions had already seen that structure twice already. They saw it on the goal line, and then they saw it when we made the great play on the fourth down earlier on. So you kind of know on the sideline, Ben Johnson and Hank Fraley and those guys are going to have their team ready for that moment. Structure-wise, I really don't like I'll show you why, but I really don't like that defense, particularly when you're running to Sewell's side because he's such a great run blocker. But that's what good teams do, and that's something the Packers are going to have to overcome if they play these guys again in the playoffs. Is good teams find the one or two formations that cause problems and then just wait for the moment to exploit them. So it's not like they just keep going back to the well, going back to the well, going back to the well, but they get to that situation, they bookmark it, and they go, all right, if we get back in the situation, we got to have it. Here's what we're going to run. We want to see that defense again. We feel really good about it. Let's watch this tape. First with Pac D. I mean, this was a fun game to watch. All right. First of all, boys. Here we are. Keep putting these things on backwards. I get so excited. All right, here we go. First of all, like I said, I thought the interior of the defensive line just did really well in the entire game. Interior one, you see TJ Slayton, and this is you line up in that head up nose. You play to the backside. You're going to beat that guard. You get the extra. You kind of have the leverage on him to begin with. I think we did a good job standing up the right guard there, but just gang tackling, swarming, just exactly what you want to see. This is kind of the name of the game. Like they're running the same thing everybody's running. They're running the go at the top. It just really turns into kind of a rub play, even though it's not supposed to be. If you ran this inside on the slot and you ran like a wheel and go here instead of just a 5-yard out, you'd call this a pick play. But it really was death by 1,000 paper cuts, man. Like you're not seeing these huge 40, 50-yard chunks. What you're seeing is a 7-yard reception, a 5-yard reception, a 13-yard reception. They're just going down the field methodically. And a lot of times when you're playing an explosive team like this, you see even now off the line of scrimmage, what do we got? 20, 30. We got 20 yards off the line of scrimmage by the safety. He's 7 yards in front of the nearest receiver. And that's not indicative of this play particularly, but it's just the theme of what you have to do when you've got all that speed. The windows just become that much bigger. We go here, and we're going to zero in on Carl Brown here. Does a good job of penetrating. On the backside, they're trying to. Obviously, I got the play wrong. Sorry. Let's look at Quay. So they run they run the gap play, and Quay reads this. Does a good job diagnosing. You'd like McDuffie's. They do two things on Detroit. They do this a lot. They kind of end up booking guys. People started doing this about 5 years ago. The tight end showing that he's going to block the DN that comes down and kind of cracks on McDuffie. It makes that pull block easier. But then we've got the guard coming around like, Quay, be the hammer here, man. Like, just come through. You see that hole. Don't get knocked off. Great run by David Montgomery. But really, that's one of those plays where if you can come downhill, and it was funny. I was just talking to a linebacker yesterday. If you have the guard pulling, not as good an athlete, I can tell you firsthand, and his chest is facing the sideline, if you come downhill and hit him in ear holing before he can get square, you win. You win like 100% of the time. If you let him get square, he wins like 99% of the time because he outweighs you by 50 pounds. So just got to go ahead and go for it there. Muck it up a little bit more. This is like I said, so they run a great route. So first of all, the in that they run here, notice how flat there's no angle on this route as he comes across. Like a lot of guys drift on this. They go from like the 32 to the, here the 25 straight across. Really good job. So the safety can't get down because the safety is, again, now he's 25 yards deep off the line of scrimmage. So there's so much to think about from a speed standpoint. So they can't make up that ground. So the windows are bigger for the Lions than they are other places. Like, in other words, you go play a team with not this set of skill position guys. I don't think the windows are as big for throwing lanes. But the real issue is you look in the backfield, man, there's nobody around Jared Goff. Jared Goff doesn't have great mobility, is a guy that has to step into his throws and has a long windup. And for the most part, he had a lot of time. And plays like this, that's pitch and catch for a good quarterback. This is what we're talking about from a structure standpoint. Here's just very simply why I don't like it. I think that's Enigbare. And again, I think Enigbare is a good player. Penei Sewell is, when he decides he wants to be a road grader, might be the best road grading right tackle in the National Football League. And so if you want to get some sort of double to like Quay, for example, here with the right guard, if you want to do anything, if you want to run outside here, he's got leverage. And now you've got Isaiah McDuffie, who is 230 pounds, Xavier McKinney, who's, I have no idea, 205, 210 pounds. But you've got guys out there that aren't relevant in terms of somebody who's going to be able to set the edge. As much as I like Isaiah McDuffie and as much as I like Xavier McKinley, those guys aren't edge setters. So when you put a 4-eye who's undersized, not like a 300-pound 4-eye, but you pay a 260-pound 4-eye against Penei Sewell, you got problems. And this comes up a couple times during the game. This is just way too easy a block. So they crack down. Guard comes off on Quay. Crack on Evan Williams, excuse me. Nixon's got to stay with him. And it's just a walk-in. Just a walk in the park, and I hit the wrong button. Because sometimes I get too excited. And now we'll go back. Here we go. Apologies, everyone. So we'll go to the next play here. And we'd love to see this. So a little bit of a change up. So we've seen this for the last 2 weeks. And this Quay comes and picks the guard. I think Kenny Clark got a sack off this last week or the week before. It's the easiest kind of sack you're going to get, right? Center's covered. He doesn't see that movement. They usually drop the defensive end or the outside linebacker to the side of the left tackle here, our right, their left. But now Quay goes all the way over and just picks Penei Sewell. So it's a great changeup. And it gets Gary, who, you'd love to see kind of get on track here. It gets him a free sack, right? It's the easiest sack he's going to get all year. Great job winning backside here by Wooten. Again, I thought the interior defensive line against, I know they've got Skipper in there, and so they don't have all their starters, but, Frank Ragnow. These guys are really, really good players. You can look at the time. This play, Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft are in this game, young tight ends, and both just phenomenal players. So Laporta's running across, and give credit where credit's due, man. Like, Quay comes off the seam and turns and hits him as he's catching the ball. The ball's not well thrown. It's backside. He's got to contort his body. Comes down with this. He does this a couple times during the game. And give credit's due. Like, that's a phenomenal play by that kid. I just put this in here. Enigbare just actually makes one miss, two miss, almost comes up with this play. Love the swarm by everybody else. Love the play, but God, Enigbare he does some things maybe once or twice a game where you're like, man, he really moves laterally well. Really gives people trouble. Oh. Let's talk about the push at the end. So with Quay here, great punch. I suppose you get the penalty, and it's not very smart. I don't like seeing linemen flop, which it clearly was, or maybe Quay's like a 700-pound bench press guy. But if I'm the left tackle here, so Quay, they run the pick again, and this one everyone's seen before. It's not like he's already lined up over there. There's nobody over the guard. if I'm the tackler, I go punch the guard right in the mouth. Like, like this is not a hard pickup, and you see the guard just is soft, hands outside. Tackle gets knocked on his ass. Get a free shooter. Guard's coming to pick him, help up his buddy. He's like, go punch him in the mouth, man. What are you doing? Again, paper cuts here. So they got the linebackers walked out, but they're not walked out. So they're over Laporta and the inside receiver. And they do this because if they're playing zone, they obviously don't want to play man in this situation. But if they're playing zone, they want Quay to be in that overhang near the box. Well, he's just close enough that their 330-pound all-pro right tackle can come and attack him. So this is just, again, a paper cut play. How many plays does Jared Goff? This is like, do you remember when Tom Brady was racking up all the yards for New England? And there's a lot of balls that were thrown within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That's how it felt a little bit this last game. You get Sewell out there, get the first down. I mean, this is a 13-yard gain on a -1 yard pass. Under center play action, the screen. One of the things about under center play action and screen game, let's just talk about it for a second, that I really like, no matter who's running it, really, because of, so you see the initial action by the linebackers, so they get their drops. They think they've done a great job because they read it, right? And then look how far away they are. Quay's 15 yards off the ball because he has to be, because that's where the drop is. I think McDuffie's on the backside. He was probably over the center. And it's just really difficult to be able to track everything when you go under center play action, because it's almost like if you don't bite and you get your drop, you feel like you've won at the linebacker position because they didn't get you. And then it's like, shit, they got me. Screen. This is the one. So Carl Brooks, man, game of inches, almost gets this play, and they're just running a little trap. Wing tight can't get there. Huge lane now for this kid is like, this is about to be a Corvette starting up right here. This guy is unbelievable fast. Unbelievable fast. I wonder if he thinks faster than I do. You know what I mean? I always wonder that, like, if a guy runs that fast, does that mean his brain works faster? They say that elite level athletes are geniuses in their own way because of like the way that their brains work. And I always wonder if like a guy who runs that fast, he must be thinking at a speed that is not even like I can't comprehend because I'm so damn slow. Anyways, so the line's confused. So here we are again. So they got the same kind of look, right? Where they got the inside. I mean, he might be a 3 technique, not a 4-eye. But you got McDuffie outside. You got McKinney there. And so they're kind of getting the same looks here. Now, this is a little bit different sound on the goal line 1. And the setup's a little bit different from a split standpoint. But it's the same thought process of, hey, we're not going to actually cover up Sewell here with a guy that we couldn't just block with a stand-up tight end or a wide receiver. So the lines get confused on the motion over. We've got 2 guys going outside. Nobody picks up the inside backer. There's no double. And then, honestly, Quay just completely outworks Penei Sewell here and ends up making just a phenomenal football play. And that is one of those where if you draw that up, you're kind of, if you're drawing that up on paper, the angle that Penei Sewell has to block Quay is so easy. If he just makes him run over the top, that it's a definite first down. And Quay does just an absolute phenomenal job of being persistent there, being a great athlete, and not allowing himself to be blocked. So when that does get cut back, and I think that gets cut back by Javon Bullard, I think runs across the bow and makes him cut back. Just a phenomenal job of pursuit, man. So here, under pressure, this throw. So we're going to run that 12-yard in, and McDuffie picks him up. He does everything right, and the ball is just perfect. And a great play again, like Laporta's a go-to. I mean, ball's just on the spot. Sometimes the other players are really good too. This is what it is. I'm thinking run here, 100%. Stokes has a little bit of outside leverage. And so, he's hoping that somebody will get out there if they run the kind of slant. And they do a stem to slant here, which is he gets beat twice essentially. But if I'm in the box, man, I'm thinking this is run all the way, right? I mean, they got wing set, you got two tight ends on the right. I mean, everything's pointing towards this is a running play. They go motion with that lead, backside. You don't even care if there's pressure in Goff's face because they just know that guy's gonna be so wide ass open with that under center play action. Now they go under center again and again. The real issue. Look how much space. This is cover 2 now. Down here on the bottom of the screen, we got the top of the numbers 50, and we got bottom of the numbers 30. The space between that Jared Goff, who's an all-pro quarterback, has to throw to a guy who runs a 4.2, 4.3 40. It's just too easy. And there's just no pressure on him. He can step into his throw. And this is really where, if you want to get to the next level, one way to figure it out. Now, 4th down play. First of all, let's talk about the 4th down and why it's a big deal. Dan Campbell says he wants to end this on offense. This is like a nod to when Belichick goes for it on 4th down, and I think they're in Indy because he's like, I'm not getting ball back to Peyton Manning. He's going to beat our defense. Same kind of thought process here, really. The Packers were rolling in the second half, and he's feeling the same way about it. And they called the timeout, and they go, look, man, we've got the same look. Third look at it. We've got the leverage. We've got an undersized defensive end playing a 4-eye or a 3, whatever you want to call that, a 3 or 4-eye against Sewell in the right guard. I mean, that is the easiest double team he's going to get all year. They've got a fullback in the game. They're going to motion another tight end over, and they've got wide receivers who could block their asses off. So for me, this is a very advantageous defensive scheme for the right side of the Lions offense. And maybe if they walk McKinney up on the line, in other words, things are not going to happen fast enough, given the amount of let's just do this by pounds. 57. What's he weigh? 200. Let's be generous and say he was 260, 230 for Isaiah, 200, 205 for Nixon weighs 200, 205. You got a right guard 310, right tackle 325, fullback 250, wide receiver 200, tight end coming across 250, 260. Like, it's just math, guys. There's just nothing you can do. So this collapse this whole side, kick out, run through, and honestly, I don't think the Packers ever really had a chance. And again, these things happen when you play against good teams that can kind of, bookmark or earmark that play later and go, all right, if it comes up again, like, we're not going to make that same mistake. We have a play that'll work. I'm pretty sure offensively, when we did our preview show, I'm pretty sure we talked about Z. I'm pretty sure we talked about Zarius Smith in the preview. So the only conclusion I can come up with is that the Packers don't subscribe to my channel. Because the first 3 plays of the game, he bull rushed Zach Tom for a sack. He knocked over Elton Jenkins for a pressure, and he knocked over Josh Myers for a pressure. And when I mean knocked over, I mean they were looking up at the lights in the stadium. Not a way you want to start the game. Okay. Early on, obviously, they have the punt, then the fumble, pressure all over the place, having trouble at the center position with not the snap, but the snap count, and then having to deal with, and we'll talk about this a little, I'll tell you why it's so difficult, or we talked about it before on the show, when you have to look under your, between your legs and then pop up and reorient yourself and snap the ball and all this shit's happening. It's really tough. One of the keys to the game that we did in the previous show is getting Josh Jacobs over 5 yards of carry. And the reason my thought process there was just very simple. If you've got him over 5 yards of carry, you're controlling the pace of the game. And I think he ended the game at 3.7. And really, I'd say the Lions did a number on the Packers up front for a good portion of the night. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't move the football. We did. And that doesn't mean that we didn't execute the offense, at least in the final three quarters, the way the Matt LaFleur envisioned for the game, because they did score 31 points. You like the style that LaFleur is playing Jordan Love. So he dropped back more than 20 times. He had a couple runs, but 12 for 20, 206 and a touchdown. And then really, after the first three drives, so they go punt, fumble. I think they're down 2 scores. The Packers decided running the football was a good idea. And I think from then on, I think they ran 8 or 9 out of the next 10 plays, scored a touchdown. And after that, the offense took off. A lot of under center work that helped the offensive line, I think, with the snap count in particular. And a lot of times you put the center in a really bad – so Josh Myers had a bad game, but you put the center in a really bad position with some of this stuff and the way that you ask him to reorient himself with a guy who's trying to jump off sides to his snap hand. It's just a lot, man. It's something that you don't think about at home, but it's really, really difficult. And there's some of these plays I'll show you, like there's not anybody in the league who's going to make the play. So one thing that you can see about this game is Christian Washington shows up and is able to take the top off the defense. And again, we talk about those throwing windows and those throwaway lanes and how they are spread out when you have to account for a guy taking the top off the D, and that secondary, that final third has to get higher than they want to. He does it. I think he led the team in yards. Tucker Kraft had another nice day. We'll get to the pick play. But there's just a lot of good on this tape. Let's watch it. I'm going to start with some of the bad, unfortunately, because of what Z did. It sounds like, boys, I don't know if anybody watched Shoresy, man, but you got to set the tone, boys. I mean, this should be easy, but you got to know he's coming for you. Get your hands inside. Just sack. No bueno. Then they line him up over on the left guard. Did we not think he was going to play hard? I mean, just runs right over. Second play of the game. Now Jordan, gets out and gets some yards. I think he led the team in yards per carry. And then it's a palms up moment for me, man. Like Josh Myers is struggling the last couple games. We didn't have to say his name a lot early on, which was a phenomenal compliment. And now you're saying his name again. It's not good. Right here, you've got a guy that is a trained assassin, right? Pass rushing you. And you've got a 200-pound kid that's a yard away, and you're looking at the 200-pound kid. That's just palms up to me, man. That's just bad football. And maybe you think you're going to get picked. I'm not sure. But, to me, I work with a lot of these guys. When you work with these guys, you say, you block your guy and you let your body and maybe your offhand absorb. But your primary focus has to be on the guy who's the most dangerous. The most dangerous here is the guy that's been an all-pro at pass rushing. He goes down. Another hit. Now, luckily, we get a penalty here for Jaden Reed, but just not a good way to start the football game. This is on the Packers to me. So first of all, he's lined up in the neutral zone, maybe, I don't know. But you can see Josh Myers snaps with his right hand. So the defensive tackle's on his snap hand, which means it's really hard already to snap the ball. Maybe you have to get your left hand over. You have to take a great step with your right foot. But he gets off the ball so quick here and is timing that. And this is how this usually works. I'll give this in slow-mo here. This is how it usually works. You have, like a silent 1, a silent 2. You have a dummy. And what generally happens is, let's say we go dummy. Let's say we go, 2 or 3. If that center goes down, picks his head back up, even does it twice, at some point, the defensive tackle knows, there's time's running out on the clock. And that's where I think these guys get in a lot of trouble, is if you get down to 3, 4 seconds and you put your head down, the ball's gone. And now you can really time it. And it doesn't matter if you've gone double count. We used to do that a lot. We just go double count. And so you go through your whole cadence and everything. But then it was the next time they knew it was on once. If they didn't jump, you were kind of screwed. And the snap clock's going down to to 2 seconds, it's like, well, the ball's coming out now. And so this is really hard on Josh Myers. Josh didn't play a great game, but there's nothing you can do here. I don't think this is his fault at all. But it is another pressure. It is another situation where Jordan Love's, getting hit while he throws. This is kind of a shell shock deal, meaning that I don't know if did you come ready to play in the first quarter? So first of all, your guard gets beat. They run a stunt here. Your guard gets beat inside. So they got a pressure. Christian Watson gets the crosser. So they beat your right guard clean. That guy's not a monster pass rusher either. But so another hit on Jordan Love. Gets the ball off. Great throw. Crosser. And then these things just happen, right? No, they don't. Tuck the ball away. Right there. Like, tuck the ball away. Simple. Or step out of bounds. I like that you're fighting for yards. No question about it. Two-hand the ball. Tuck it away. These things happen sometimes when you're undisciplined. And as far as, look, man, Amon used to fumble the ball from time to time fighting for extra yards. And so it happens, right? It happens. That's the responsibility of people that are carrying the ball. You just don't want to see the ball flailing out away from your body. But this led to something great, which was the Packers decided to run the football. Now look at the split. We talked about it in the pregame show. Look at the split by Zach Tom, just creating the natural lane. Really smart. Good job here by center and right guard. Getting out. So we get loose a little bit here. And I think they go 8 for 10. The next 10 plays, I think 8 of them are runs. And I think 9 of them really are runs because Jordan Love takes off on a pass. That's how they get down and score. I think the under center helped the operation early. I think once they kind of got away from some of the shotgun stuff, because it's not like they were lining up that guy every time, but they did line it up enough. Like sometimes what happens is you're watching a game, and you're like, man, there's pressure coming from the middle, and then you start going, well, why is that happening? Oh, it's on a snap hand, blah 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 blah. You jump in the snap count. It's a different, there's obviously some issue there that they might have to address, but this is a really good thing because now they don't have to go silent. He's got time, gets out of the pocket. Good blocking by Bo Melton downfield. Good blocking by Jaden Reed downfield. So they really go quads, but they go bunch. Bring the action back. They look like they're going to run that screen play, and they actually have it. But what they have more than that is inside release to a fade, and NFL speed is just different. I was just talking, my daughter's she's doing her off-season training for soccer. And she said that they're doing some stuff with the strength and conditioning coach. So she's up there, and it's just like a handful of girls running. So they were running with a couple guys that are rehabbing for the football team. One of the guys is like one of their track football guys. And she goes, she's just started, I won't get into it, but she started talking about how fast they are. Sometimes you just forget, like some of the football guys are just different kind of speed. Christian Washington's that NFL speed is just hits a little bit different. The separation that he gets. I mean, if this ball isn't hung up like it was, same thing like last week. Like he might be overrunning some of these throws. He's so fast. Really, well, I can't stress what a weapon that is for the Packers to be able to extend the throwing lanes underneath by 5 yards because the safety's worried about getting beat. Really big deal. All right, Tuck Kraft at the top here for a touchdown. Just real easy look. I think that's Kirby in the middle. So his chest goes to the trip side. As soon as he turns his back, this ball's going to be out. Easy read for him. See the linebacker kind of makes the wrong decision here and not trailing this into the middle. Thinks he's going to break outside. Kraft takes it in the middle here. I mean, phenomenal catch. Really fortunate Kraft. Kind of two young standout guys again. Both just incredibly fun to watch. I don't put the Matrix thing up because I put it on Twitter already, but that Matrix, when he jumps up like Shawn Michaels or The Rock or something from WWE, I'm an athlete, man. Got me beat. All right, here we go. This is unreal. Okay, so Josh Jacobs has to jump cut away because he sees, I think that's Jack Campbell coming downhill. Then the backside defender has him in his sights. He jump cuts away from him, goes back. Are you kidding, dude? How did you miss him? Josh Jacobs, how did you do that? I can't express how difficult what we just saw was. And then works his way all the way to the end zone. Special player. All right, 2x2 here. Go motion across, come back. This could have been oh, no. Did it again. What an idiot. Let's see if I can get that back, boys. There we are. So here we go. This jump cut. Let's look at it once again. I know I screwed up, but good Lord. That's palms up stuff. If you're in like the film room and everybody, there's sometimes, and this is probably just offensive lineman because we like our egos are a little bit different, but you get beat bad. Everybody just kind of look back at you like, bro, like give you one of those. Tough day at the office, boys. That one, I'm just wondering what they do in the defensive room. They're like, I would have missed that too. I mean, I just don't see how you make that tackle. I mean, it's obvious that you should make that tackle. I just don't see how you make that tackle. This should have been one of his, if you win this game, this is the highlight of the season. So Josh Jacobs, they go under center play action. Josh picks this up late. And Jordan Love has to turn his chest to the opposite sideline, flip his hips back over, just throw a damn dart to Christian Watson. I mean, what a phenomenal play. I mean, just the athleticism to be here, to be here, to be here, and then, golly, must be good being athletic. All right, this is one of the plays that everybody talked about in the game. So this is a pick play. And look, here's the thing, guys. You might not like this, but it's, if they don't call it, the Lions are going, are you kidding me? If they call this the other way, if we're on defense and they don't call it, we're losing our damn minds. So what you'd like to see there is the guy not fall down, and is the guy, I always think about it this way. When I forgot, I think it's Sean Jefferson, he's one of the great wide receiver coaches in the league, and he used to tell the guys to yell. You yell at them because you want to get their attention, because you don't really want to hit them. You just want them to not be in that space. You want them to move, because if they move one step in the NFL, they're done. And so just kind of running right into the guy and blindsiding them, it's like the violence of the hit actually adds to the credibility of the call. Whereas if it's a glancing blow, whereas it's something where he just, yells and the guy stutters and steps around, like anything else, it probably works. So it's a tough call because they end up getting 3 instead of 7. Kind of the difference in the game, right? But tough sport. You'll see those guys again, I think. The real question now is, what do you do if you're the Green Bay Packers and you're kind of looking up now? You have a playoff-worthy team. I don't think they're not mathematically in, but I think it's pretty close. But it looks like you're going to have to go through Philly and Detroit to go to the Super Bowl. And it's like, what do you do if you have to play those guys again? Can you beat them at home in the playoff scenario? And the answer is obviously yes. Like, it's a very competitive game. But what are the things you have to do? Well, defensively, I think you have to condense the space a bit more and not play so conservatively on the back end. I don't think you can play with a 20-yard spread between the second and third level of defense. You have to invest in a pass rusher. The fact that like Z goes to Detroit when Hutchinson goes out and he comes in and the first 3 plays is just causing havoc. That sticks. Whether he has to play the rest of the night, it makes you think about it the rest of the night. So you got to find a pass rusher somewhere, anywhere. You can't continue to use, Quay McDuffie right now. Jesus, Quay McDuffie. Quay Walker is our best weapon right now in the pass rush game because of the pick stunts that he's running. Right? He's been the most effective person. In other words, when he's involved in a pass rush, it has the most effective rate of return as anybody on the team, and that is not a good thing. So how do we get a pass rush without them? And I talk about Wahle doing a great job of scheming in pass rush using Quay or using other guys or using the double A gaps and then just bringing Enagbari off the edge. So when Armstead last week is staring at the A gap, he just runs right by and gets a sack on Tua. So those are a great job of winning situations that you are designed to get you to win. But what about the other ones? Like how do we start winning quickly and getting the quarterback off the spot? How do we continue to get more hits on that quarterback and make them feel uncomfortable? Pressure equals picks idea. And offensively, when you play against good football teams, you have to be able to establish the run. You have to be able to start the game downhill, and you have to come out and say, I'm here to take what's mine. I'm not here to kind of test the waters. And against this team in the first quarter, they did not come out and take what's theirs. Some of the guys did, I'm sure. But you just look at the offensive line. You look what one guy did on the first 3 plays, who's not an all-pro anymore, and these guys are very familiar with. So you got to start downhill. You got to get that momentum early because a game with a team like the Lions. We've seen the Lions this year have nothing going in the first half and then drop 20-some in the second, multiple times. So this isn't anything new. So you have to get that momentum, and it's going to be one of those games that we used to play against the Colts of Peyton in the regular season, and it was like we kind of knew if you missed a touchdown opportunity or you had to punt, like you're probably going to lose the game because they weren't going to stop. So that's the kind of game you're going to be, I think, in with the Lions at the least, and probably the Eagles moving forward. So how can we create those conditions where kickoffs happening, like we're locked in, start fast, get the momentum, be ready to go. A lot of that stuff's just internally what you're going to do in the locker room. Some of that stuff might be how we design the play call structure in the first 15, particularly if we're on the road. Are we going to put our center in a position where, hey, they can jump the snap count a bunch and that's going to be a problem. We're not going to slide to them, blah, 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 blah. Like there's a lot of stuff you can kind of start thinking about, but really I think it comes down to the players and just being ready to play. So it's a fun sport, man. That's all I can say. I love watching the sport. It's you see these guys get better every week. You see guys like Tucker Kraft just turning into big ball players. Watching Sam Ford's on the other side and Josh Jacobs. So much fun. Thanks to our sponsors, Bet Online. Check me out, Mike Wahle 68 and Process to Perform on Instagram. We'll talk to you guys soon, huh?